The manhwa begins by showing an old, creepy wall and worn wooden furniture. Bugs sometimes fly in from outside through the vents, and while one is moving through the air, the boy says he envies them. He crushes the bug between his hands and looks at its remains on his palm. Ben licks it but stops and says it is very bitter. He says he has spent his whole life there. He wipes the bug off his hand and says he has always been trapped in that place. The light flickers. The story does not reveal his name, not even in the later chapters, so for now he is simply called Boy. He is writing a self-introduction for the day he finally leaves the basement. He says that normally a person would begin with their name, but he does not know his because no one has ever called him by it. He looks to the side at a picture and says he should have one. It is a picture of him, his mother, and his father. He was separated from his mother shortly after birth, but from the picture and from how brightly she was smiling, he can tell that she must have loved him very much. His father interrupts that thought and says she is gone, that his mother is dead. The boy turns around and asks what he means. His father tells him that she died shortly after giving birth by jumping off a bridge. Then he starts laughing, which makes the boy angry. The boy says that even though this man is his father, he is also the bastard who locked him there. To make sure he cannot escape, there are several doors, each with its own lock, and every key hangs from his father's hip. His father says he will never send him outside, and asks whether he has not already told him why his mother jumped off the bridge. The boy looks afraid. His father grabs a cookie and pushes it toward the boy's face, saying that his mother was afraid of the world she lived in. He says the cookie is the world, then breaks it, and says she knew an apocalypse was coming. The boy stays tense. His father says the reason he does not send him outside is because he loves him and cannot watch his own son kill himself. The boy shakes with anger and says he is lying. He says that sounds like a ridiculous excuse and that he should not talk about his mother that way. He asks if he really thinks he would believe him after being kept trapped there. His father says it is up to him whether he believes it or not. Then he grabs the boy's notebook and says that self-introduction will never see the light of day. He starts burning it. The boy tries to stop him, but his father ignores him. In the end, only ashes remain. The boy starts asking how someone like him could be his father. His father says the boy should not have said something like that he is doing all of this for him, and tells him to follow because it is that time of day. They walk down the hallway. The boy says this happens at the same time every day. Even through the vents that lead outside, he cannot hear anything except himself and his father, and the two of them are alone in that huge basement. His father starts writing on the chalkboard, and the boy says it is always the same routine. His father lectures him and then makes him continue with training. There is only one thing that helps him deal with that boring life. He smiles at a book and says he can read books from the library to entertain himself. There are many books there, but he likes the ones that describe the outside world. He can only imagine what it looks like above ground. He wonders what sunlight feels like and says it must be warm. He wants to know what it is like to run through grass and trees. He wants to see what other people look like and maybe become friends with them. But more than anything, he needs to find his mother. His father suddenly kicks him in the face. Then he grabs the book and says he must have already told him which books he is allowed to read. He points out that this one is a book about the surface and laughs. He says it is pathetic that the boy is so attached to the outside. He reminds him again that he can never go outside. When the apocalypse comes, the world will be full of screams and blood, and only ashes will remain. The only place where he can survive is the basement. The boy says he is tired of that damn lie. It is always the same story about the apocalypse coming. Because of that, he has been locked there and constantly abused. He says he will escape that prison no matter what it takes, but he knows that now is not the time. He needs to wait for the perfect chance. The moment his father's guard is down, he will try to take the keys and run. Inside the bunker training area, the boy is sweating while doing push-ups. His father says that if he gets tired from just that, he will not be able to survive. He has only reached 10 so far, but there is a huge amount of weight stacked on his back. His arms give out, and he collapses under the weight. He is completely exhausted, and his father walks toward him. The man reaches a hand out to him. The boy is confused because his father looks caring for a moment, and he asks why he is helping him. His father grabs his arm and pulls him up, saying he never said he was helping. At the same time, he kicks his legs out from under him, making him roll into a mirror and crash into it with his back. His father says that if someone reaches a hand out to him, he should never trust that person. He says he must always be careful with humans, especially during the apocalypse. That is what he has been training him for, and those combat skills will be necessary because he needs to survive with only his bare hands. Then he notices that the boy is not listening and has gone still. He says the boy is weak for collapsing from something like that. He turns around and starts leaving, saying they can stop there for the day. As he walks away, the boy sees an opportunity. He says this carelessness is what he has been waiting for. He quickly gets up and grabs a piece of broken glass. His father still has not noticed. The boy starts running toward him, puts his feet together, and pushes himself forward, saying he can kill him and escape. As he gets closer to his father's back, the boy smiles and says that it worked. His father suddenly stops moving as the boy approaches. Then the boy realizes he made a mistake in his plan. His father looks down at the floor and sees the shadow behind him, revealing that he had never lowered his guard at all. As the shard comes closer, his father's face twists as he turns and smiles at it. The boy is shocked by the creature-like movement in his father's body, but he still follows through and tries to stab him. His father dodges the attack, which surprises the boy. Then the father begins to turn and twists his body with the motion as he throws a roundhouse kick. The boy realizes he is finished, and then only the sound of the kick is heard as he loses consciousness. Sometime later, the sound of dripping water wakes him up. He sits up and sees water falling from the sink into a bucket, while his father says he is finally awake. His father says it was a good attempt, or at least the attack was, but he reminds him that he already said before that if it is not done with his bare hands, then all of this training means nothing. He starts grinning and says the punishment for using a weapon is that he will train twice as much. Then he locks the cell door and leaves, telling the boy to get some rest. He says tomorrow will be a rough day and laughs as the lights grow dim. As his father walks down the hallway, the boy says he knows something his father does not. When the lights are turned off, all the electricity in the room cuts out for a moment, and all the noise disappears. If he focuses during that brief moment, he can hear things that were hidden before. Even though they are far away, he can hear them faintly. He hears the sound of wheels turning, the sound of birds chirping, and the sound of a city full of people. From that, he learns two things. While his father says it is bedtime, it is actually daytime above ground. And the second truth is that the world is peaceful. His father keeps saying the end is coming, but that is only an excuse to keep him locked there. Because of that, he plans to escape from that place, and after that, he will find his mother. Every time he asks about her, he is only told that she is dead. But now that he knows his father only tells lies, he thinks he finally understands. To him, that means she is actually alive. He pulls his blanket up and says he is going to make sure he finds her. Then it shows the father walking down the hallway while laughing until his phone rings. He stops, takes it out, and sees that the call is from someone named River. His expression immediately turns serious, and he asks what it is. He says he already told them not to contact him unless it was an emergency. While the boy sleeps, the father listens to River speak for several minutes. When River finally stops talking, the father says all right and tells him to let the boy live. Right after hearing that, he collapses to the floor and begins sobbing because of what he was told. Sometime later, the boy hears his father laughing. He opens his eyes and sees that his father is in a completely different mood than usual and seems ominous. The boy feels that something is wrong and asks what is going on. Then he notices that he cannot move and looks down, seeing that he is tied up. He shouts, asking what is going on and telling him to untie him. But his father keeps laughing and does not listen to what the boy is saying. The boy grits his teeth in anger and says he will break himself free. He starts to tense his body, and the ropes slowly begin to tear. The boy gets distracted and looks up, only to see his father staring down at him. In a chilling voice, he tells him to stop. The boy breaks into a cold sweat and says he thought the training was supposed to be twice as hard, asking if he does not remember that. His father tells him that the plan has changed because they will not be doing anything that day. Not just that day, but every day from then on. He will be made to sit in that chair. The boy starts to panic and asks what he is talking about, saying that he told him he would train him to survive. His father says the training is over now. The boy wonders what suddenly changed in him. He will not be able to see his mother if he cannot break free. He starts trying harder to escape. His father asks him what he is doing. The boy struggles as hard as he can and barely snaps part of the rope. His father sees this and is left speechless, then starts laughing without control, but it is not like his usual laugh. This one feels demonic. He throws a punch that cracks like a whip. After a brief delay, the force sends the boy in the chair into the air, making him crash to the floor. His father walks over and sets the chair upright again, saying that he is sure he told him not to move. He laughs, then returns to normal, but the boy is set on escaping and tries again. This time, his father kicks him and laughs while the boy is on the floor. This keeps happening over and over, and the boy does not know what pushed him to keep resisting that day. It would have made more sense to pretend to agree and wait for another chance. But he did not want to give up, even if it cost him his life. His hatred toward his father as the one who locked him up and tormented him keeps growing every minute. Then the boy feels his hand move and looks down, seeing that he has broken free from the ropes. He says he felt a thrill he had never felt before. He begins to wonder what kind of face his father would make if he beat him. He smiles and turns to look at him, but instead sees that his father has already crossed the distance. He thought his father would be angry that he broke free, or maybe even worried, but instead he sees something he did not expect, because his father is crying, and it seems he had always been holding it back. The boy is shocked by this, because for the first time he can see that behind his father's cruel side, he is truly a sad man. The boy wonders why he is looking at him like that. His father does not even try to avoid the attack. After being hit, the boy starts to lose consciousness and sees his father walk up to him and in a shaking voice say that he hopes he can understand. He starts to remember his father's words. He said that he must always remember, and among all the survival rules, the most important one is to never leave the basement. There is no place safer than that. It has thousands of defense systems and will keep working for 126 years. It also has plenty of food, and trying to leave a place that already has everything prepared is the same as asking for death. The end will come without warning, so he must not leave the basement. He starts to wake up and stands again, seeing that his father is nowhere around. He says that this has never happened before, and the only time his father would disappear was when he went to sleep. He says that he was acting very strange the day before, too. He sits against the wall and says that from the repeated lifestyle to the current situation, he cannot understand it. He knew that something big was about to happen to him. The gears stop turning, and the boy says his guess was right as the door opens. He sees that every door down the hallway is now open, and there is nobody around. This is a chance he cannot let pass. He breaks into a sprint to take that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He runs through the doors and down the hallway. He says that by now his father would have stopped him if he were there. But since he is not, that means he is not there. He keeps running until he reaches the ladder at the end and looks up, saying that he found it. He starts climbing and hopes it is bright outside. As soon as he reaches the top, he removes the cover and hears the sound of cars. He rises out of the hole. His eyes stay shut because the light is so strong, but he slowly opens them and is completely shocked. In front of him is only a normal city view, with people everywhere. They are simply walking around in peace and living their lives. His heart starts beating loudly. He has finally made it out. A man walks over and asks why he is standing in the middle of the road. The boy turns and is glad to see another person. The man wonders if there is something wrong with his head. The boy realizes this is not the time for that. He cannot lower his guard now that he has escaped. His father might realize he is gone, so the best thing he can do is run and create distance. As he runs through the city, he says that he has dreamed about this his entire life. He wanted to escape the basement and be truly free. Until a few moments ago, it felt impossible. But even now, it still feels strange that the door opened so suddenly. He stops and wonders why. He thinks it may have been a system error, but there is no way it would have opened only because of that, since his father does not make mistakes. That makes him think that maybe opening the door was his father's intention from the start. He shakes his head and says there is no way, because his father was the one who made the rule about never leaving the basement. The boy looks around and sees people living normal lives, students, children playing happily, and smiles everywhere. He realizes those could have been the experiences he would have had if his father had not lied to him. There is no apocalypse, only peace. The boy says he knew all the fear about the end had been meaningless. While everyone is enjoying themselves, their laughter starts to be drowned out by the sound of wings flapping, and only one thing echoes in the boy's mind. It is his father's warning that the end finds everyone without warning. Birds rise into the sky and everyone looks up in complete disbelief at something above them. A balloon blocks the boy's view, but when it passes, something can be seen in the sky. It begins to block out the sun, and everyone starts wondering what is happening. From that strange planet-like thing, a whirlwind begins to form. A closer look shows that many of them are forming at the same time and moving straight toward the earth, almost like tentacles. As it gets closer, people begin to panic. They ask each other what it is and suggest that maybe it is the moon. The boy asks if everyone is stupid or if they just cannot see the bright light coming from it. That light is the eye of a monster, staring at all of them. But it is not just one. Those tentacles that formed are actually thousands of monsters charging together and taking shape. As they get closer and closer, the boy remembers his father saying never to leave. But there was one exception to that rule, and that was when the basement's location was exposed to the enemy. For some reason, the monsters head straight for the basement before going anywhere else on Earth. That means the first rule no longer matters. The monsters rush through the basement and head to the very end. Packed together like sardines, the others begin spreading across the surface. The winners of the Darwin Award all stand there staring at the scene until one of them gets grabbed by a monster and pulled toward it by its tentacles. The man screams, but does not even try to escape from the monster's grip. He is met by the monster's mouth, ready to eat him. At that point, nobody is running, and they only watch as the man gets eaten. Only his head is thrown across the ground, landing in front of the crowd. They wait for it to stop rolling before fear and panic finally hit them. Then they start screaming, and everyone begins to run, asking what the hell is going on. Some of them start falling to the ground, and then it shows a socially unaware kid listening to music. While everyone else runs past him, something comes flying down from above. It turns out to be a rock thrown by a giant man. He starts hurling them at the civilians. As if it is not bad enough that they have to avoid giant rocks, another monster flies out covered in spikes and easily cuts the people around it in half. Other kinds of monsters appear, each one easily taking human lives. A man looks over and screams, and then it shows the boy watching all of this. People start calling for the police. The boy hears a terrible sound and says that his father once told him that when the apocalypse comes, the world will be filled with blood and screams, with only ashes left behind. What had been a peaceful street has now turned into a scene of horror. The boy sees what can only be described as a massive monster stomping on skyscrapers. As if the parade of monsters was not enough to prove that their normal lives were over, that giant creature crushing buildings and destroying the land makes them understand that the world is doomed. Just looking at how much of the city it destroyed says enough. With even more monsters coming down into the ruins of the city, the boy says that his father was right the whole time. He starts to wonder if his father was not lying to him after all, and maybe his mother really is dead. He begins to freeze as everyone behind him gets swallowed by the wave of monsters. While the boy is standing there, a hand grabs him and starts pulling him away. It is none other than his father. The boy asks how he found him, but his father tells him to keep running and not to stop. The monsters get closer and closer, and the man behind the boy starts getting torn apart. The boy begins to pant as he and his father turn a corner, only to see even more monsters. His father jumps over a railing and tells him to stay close. The boy does, and they begin running against the crowd. Toward a bridge in the distance, monsters of all shapes and sizes start eating the civilians around them, and some of them seem to kill for no reason at all. The boy keeps running, but more fools keep standing still and staring at the monsters. The creatures consume everything behind the boy and his father. As they move farther up the bridge, the boy turns and sees that there is nobody left behind them because all of them have already been swallowed by the wave of monsters. He tells his father that they are catching up, and his father tells him to keep running because it is the only way out of the city. The bridge stretches over a giant canyon, likely created by that huge monster. Below them, the monster wave sweeps up everything, but then it turns and starts climbing the bridge. The boy tells his father that the monsters are coming up, but then he suddenly stops. A monster has latched onto his foot. It starts squeezing and begins injuring his foot. He groans in pain, but says that if he does not get it off right away, he will die. Then his father comes in holding a car door and uses it to cut off the monster's arm. The monster screams and falls off the bridge. The boy grabs his ankle and his father comes closer and sees that his foot is badly hurt. The bridge starts shaking because the wave is still rushing straight at them. The boy tries to stand and says he needs to run, but the more he moves, the more he realizes that the distance between them keeps shrinking. No matter how hard he runs, he will not escape. He falls, and as the monsters get closer, he looks up and sees his father staring at him. He tells him to go and says that at least he can save himself. His father starts taking steps, and the boy says that this is what he expected, because his father always ignored him. He thinks it is over, but then his father reaches out his hand and asks why he is not getting up. The boy is confused and asks why he is not just leaving him and running away. Since he will not get far even if he runs, his father says he can survive because he has a plan. The boy is surprised and says there is no way he has a plan. His father looks at him with a trusting expression, and the boy closes his mouth as he remembers his tears. Then he takes his hand. His father pulls him up and tells him to run. As the boy starts moving, he turns and asks what the plan is. He feels something in his hand, and his father yells that there is no time and that he has to get off the bridge now. The boy says he understands and starts running. The closer he gets to the other side, the more violently the bridge begins to shake. He sees shadows and turns, only to spot the bridge supports breaking under the weight of the monsters. Then the cables snap too, and the bridge falls into the canyon below. Some of the monsters are dragged down with it, and most likely his father as well. The boy stands there and calls out to his father. He wonders what happened to the bridge and whether his father is all right. He remembers his father saying that he had a plan and starts wondering if this was the plan he meant. He asks why his father would spend his whole life torturing him, only to save him now. His legs begin to shake and he falls to the ground. He says that he survived. But now what? What is the point of surviving now? Everything he dreamed about in the world above has been extinguished. There is no peace there. There is no beauty. And his most important goal, meeting his mother, is also nothing more than a dream. He starts crying and says he wanted to ask why his father went that far to save him. He asks what he is supposed to do next, because this hell is worse than the prison where he grew up. Then he remembers his father helping him and handing him a note. He looks at his hand and slowly opens it to see what is written. After reading it, he stops crying and stares at the remains of the bridge. But then a monster starts climbing up from the cliff. The boy gets scared and turns to run, but all he feels is pain in his leg. He grabs the railing and realizes the monster is getting closer and closer. Then both of them fall off the bridge. The boy rolls across the ground, and the monster crashes down too. The boy tries to stand up, but he cannot because his stamina is completely drained. The monster begins to rise, and he realizes he cannot run from it. He starts thinking that he is going to die like this, but then his hope returns. He begins to cry while looking at the note and wonders why his father is only now telling him that his mother is alive. The monster stands up. Now that he has something to hold on to, his body fills with adrenaline. He forces himself up and says he wants to live. He refuses to give up and says he will find his mother, but first he has to deal with the monster in front of him. He remembers a lesson from his father that humans cannot survive because they lack the knowledge to survive on their own. The monster charges at him, while he recalls his father saying that even if people survive, they will eventually die. The monster attacks, and he wonders how he is supposed to deal with it. If everything his father said is true, then he should not be able to do anything and should just accept death. As the monster's fist moves closer to his face, time seems to slow down. He hears his father asking if he forgot everything he was taught. Different ways to counter begin to run through his mind. He sees the incoming punch, avoids it, and moves behind the monster. Because of the force of its attack, the monster has to stop itself from falling off the cliff. The boy is surprised that he avoided it. The monster prepares to attack again, but he remembers his father saying that he is different. The biggest difference between him and others is that he knows exactly what he must do to survive, because that is all he has ever been taught. The boy stops shaking and calms himself. He lowers his body into a fighting stance and prepares to fight. The monster charges again and throws another punch. The boy slides under it and stops himself by grabbing the spike he noticed earlier. He pulls the spike out of the ground and rushes toward the monster. The monster turns to grab him, but the boy avoids it. Holding the spike, he moves in and drives it straight into the monster's head. The scene shifts to another area, where monsters have completely taken over the city, or what is left of it. Underground, some survivors are gathered. They say that the police should have done something by now, since it has been 4 days. They say they are lucky to be hiding there, but their food supplies are running low. A girl looks at her friend, but he does not respond. She says that if they stay hopeful, maybe things will change. A man tells her she is making everyone uncomfortable. She says she is not speaking loudly, but he says that is not what he meant. It becomes clear that her friend is most likely already dead. He tells her to forget it and walks away, saying he might be losing his mind. A schoolgirl calls out to him and says she cannot find any food. He tells her they have to find food somehow if they want to survive there. She says there is still one place left to check, and since she has not looked there yet, she will go again. She says they should not give up. The man smiles and thanks her, saying everyone is tired from guarding against the monsters. He says she is the only one still helping this much and calls her a good kid. She shakes her head and says that is not true. He says they need to keep hoping and try to get everyone out of there. She is left without words and walks over to two people talking. They turn toward her, and she asks if they found any food there. They look at each other and pull out a sandwich, saying they found it earlier. The girl reaches for it, but they start eating it. She asks what they are doing, saying they agreed to share food. The other girl says that those boring people made that rule, and they never agreed to follow it. She reminds them that just yesterday they ate from the shared food. The man says he does not remember that. The girl clenches her teeth and says she will report them. The man stands up and threatens her, telling her to go ahead and try, and that they will not just stand there. She says it is pointless because they will not be able to catch her, since the one thing she is good at is running away. The man starts walking toward her, but a scream is suddenly heard. They all turn and begin to feel fear. The woman says it came from far away, so they should be fine. The man says he got scared for nothing, then notices the schoolgirl crouched on the floor. He sees her shaking and laughs at her, saying she was confident a moment ago but now is too scared to move. She notices food they left behind and quickly takes it before leaving. She returns to the man from earlier, and he asks if she checked the place he mentioned. She says yes, and he asks how it went. The food is hidden in her pocket, but her stomach growls and she tells him she found nothing. He says he is not surprised and that the important thing is that they are still alive. But that does not last long, as a monster suddenly breaks into the room. The schoolgirl is knocked down, then sits up in fear as she sees the monster behind the man. He crawls forward and reaches out his hand toward her, asking for help, but she runs away and says she is sorry. The man tells her to wait, but she says she already told him she is not a good person. As he is torn apart, the couple from earlier start running too. They see the schoolgirl running straight toward a monster. The woman says it will be fine, because they can use her as bait. She keeps running forward, and the girl calls her an idiot. The monster swings down at her, and she sees it coming, but in her eyes, she has not given up. She dives forward and rolls past the attack, going into a handstand roll. The others are surprised because she even lands all of the moves. He remembers that she said she was good at running away and that she was not bluffing. Then they get eaten. It shows her finally reaching cover, completely out of breath. She drops to the floor and hopes the monsters leave her alone. Then she looks over and sees the boy sitting there too. She screams and shoves him over, thinking he was a corpse. But he makes a sound, and she realizes he is alive. But right in front of them is a monster. She wonders if it heard her scream. It starts crawling toward them, and she shakes in fear, but sees the boy still lying on the floor. She grabs him by the collar and drags him away from the monster, hiding both of them. The monster starts to leave, and she says, "Thank God." It is gone, and she lets out a breath, saying she is alive. Then she looks down and sees that the boy is awake now. She screams again, and he jumps away from her, asking who she is and what she was doing to him. She is confused, but all he can hear are his father's words about not trusting anyone. She asks what he means, saying that she hid him from a monster. But he says that his father is probably right and that he should not get close to humans. He asks how he is supposed to believe her. Then his stomach growls, and he falls to the floor. He says this is bad because he is hungry. He ate something 5 days ago in the basement, and he has reached his limit. He has been resting to save energy, but now he has run into a human. She tells him she has no food, and he asks what she is talking about, since he did not ask her anything in the first place. She says that he just looked hungry, so she said it first. Then the food falls out of her pocket, and she starts sweating nervously. He asks what that is, and she starts thinking of an excuse, but he genuinely has no idea what it is. Still, looking at it only makes him hungrier. Then he asks if it is food. She quickly says no. He says then he must have been wrong. But she keeps trying to cover it up and says he is an idiot for not recognizing food, and that she can probably get out of there. Then he calls her a liar and asks if she thought he would really believe a human. She is confused. He says she is wrong if she thinks he would trust her, because all humans lie. She realizes she underestimated how empty this guy's head is. The boy says that from her reaction, he can tell that it is food. He says he needs it, and if she does not plan to cooperate, he will take it by force. But she gives him half of it, saying that it is exactly half, and that she cannot give him any more. He wonders why she is sharing, saying that this only puts her at a disadvantage. She says he has to pay her back 4 times what she gave him and not forget it. He says okay and starts eating his half. Then he starts to leave, and she asks where he is going. He says now that he has eaten, he will move. She asks where the hell he plans to go in this situation. She says this is her neighborhood, and she knows it well, so there is nowhere to go because of monsters. She bumps into him and asks why he stopped. He asks if she really knows the area well. She says yes, she grew up there. He then asks if she knows where the subway is. After sneaking around for a while, she wonders how she ended up like this. She thinks if she knew, she would not have shared her bread. But she gets curious and asks why he wants to go to the subway. He says it is safe there, it has supplies for survival, and it is a path to move without monsters seeing them. Most importantly, it makes it hard for monsters to detect humans. She says he is strange. He talks like he knows something. And it is weird he did not recognize bread earlier. She says they are here, but gets confused and says she thought it was here. He asks if she is trying to trick him. She says this is not the subway. She is trying to find the entrance. She tells him to wait and she will look for it, but gets startled by an old man telling her to be quiet. He says he came because he heard something, but did not expect humans. Boy asks who he is. The man says that is rude. They can introduce themselves later. He tells them to follow him. The girl asks where they are going. He says they were looking for it, right, and leads them through rubble and down the escalator. It reveals the subway they were looking for. The girl says there are many people, and it is surprising to see so many here. The old man says he cannot forget that moment. Monsters appeared suddenly. There was nowhere to run, and he found this place while escaping. He says it was luck, and he has been searching the surface for medicine, which is why he heard them. Boy looks around and says he planned to build a subway in the base, but there are many people here. He sees all types, people in despair, people showing their bad sides, and even someone he cannot read. The more humans there are, the more risks he must manage, but none of them can truly put him in danger. He can tell who is dangerous by instinct, like with monsters, and like his father. He can sense something like an aura, but nobody here feels dangerous, so maybe it is safe to stay, since none of them can harm him, even if they become enemies. His thought stops as the old man says it is time for introductions. He says his name is Huang Baum, and he is a doctor. Baum says again he was looking for medicine, and that is how he met them, and he found nothing. He asks for their names. Boy does not answer, so the girl says her name is Haru. Baum says it is a good name, and by her clothes she must go to virtual middle school. She says yes and asks if he knows it. He says yes, his hospital was across from the school near the mall. She says she does not remember a hospital there. Baum looks at Boy, sees his clothes are torn, and says he has clearly been through a lot. He asks for his name. Boy says he does not know his name. Baum is surprised, and Boy says he never had one. Baum thinks it is a joke, says he can tell him next time, and laughs. A man runs in saying things got worse. An injured man is shown leaning against a wall, and he is relieved to see Baum. Baum says he can already see that it is serious, and although they stopped the bleeding earlier, it is getting worse faster than expected. He says they need to operate now, or the infection will put the man in danger. He shows that he has the surgical tools and says they have to do it right away. As he starts disinfecting the wound, Boy says he read about doctors in books. He says it is a job that treats humans for money, but now that the apocalypse has come, money cannot be exchanged. So he asks Baum what he is getting in return for treating them. Baum looks surprised and says he does not need anything like that. Everyone is surprised by his answer. He says a doctor's job is to treat the injured and tells them not to worry, because he has rarely failed a surgery. The man tears up and says he is very thankful, then hugs him. Boy is confused and asks why he is helping him without getting anything back. He wonders if humans are stupid, or if this is just the kind of thing they do. Baum tells him to be careful not to reopen his wounds. The man thanks him, but then notices that his jacket says he is a veterinarian. Baum tells the man it is time to begin, and that it might hurt, but that cannot be helped. The man starts panicking and says to wait, because he does not want this. Baum says he has to do it, or he will die. The man asks how a veterinarian can perform surgery on a human. Baum says of course he can, because humans are also animals. The man says he does not want this anymore. Baum tells him to calm down before his condition gets worse. He says he needs anesthetics, and a girl tells him they do not have anything like that. Baum bends down, picks up a brick, and tells the man it is time for the night-night juice. Boy says he was wrong, and humans are definitely dangerous. Boy walks off and finds a quiet place. He says he made the right choice by not watching the surgery, but then he wonders what he should do now. All he has left is a picture, a photo taken during his childhood, and a note on the back saying that she is alive, but he has no clue how to find her. When he looks at the photo, though, he feels uneasy. In the background, there are strange flowers that look almost alien. Even back in the basement, he thought they were odd, so he checked flower books to learn more. But he could not find any information about the flowers in the photo. If that flower only grows in one specific place, then he might be able to figure out where the picture was taken. To do that, he needs to find someone who can identify the flower. It is his only clue, so he has to make sure not to lose it, and he needs to ask everyone about it. A bug flies past his face and he crushes it like before. Then he goes to lick it like last time. He says it is bitter as hell again. In another room, a girl turns around and tells her boss that she gathered everyone. He says it is time to begin. He tells them to bring in anyone else, and if they refuse, to use whatever they can to drag them there. The civilians all wonder why they were gathered there. One of them asks the man why he is bringing them all together and handling them without giving any explanation. The man ignores him, but he keeps talking. The scarred man glares at him, and fear runs down his spine. The scarred man says he can look into the depths of the human mind. He can see their real thoughts, and he can read all of it through their eyes. Inside that man's eyes, he sees him hiding in a room and feeling fear. Scarborough says the man hides it by acting tough on the outside. The normal guy starts yelling, telling him not to come closer, and Scarborough punches him in the stomach, saying it always shows itself. The guy goes flying, and everyone is scared now. Scar walks back over to him and picks him up, saying this is exactly what he wanted to see. He wants to see more. He wants to see how truly afraid he is. The man begs him to stop, and his underling tells him that some people are not there. He asks who. She says the old man, a boy, and a girl, along with the injured person. He says he told her to gather all of them and asks what went wrong. She says it was left to that thug-like guy, but he did not listen and disappeared. Scar says they could never control that guy, and he will do it himself because he wants to look into their eyes when he finds them. She asks what to do with the one on the floor. Scar says to throw him out. The man says they cannot do that, and that he will do whatever they ask. Scar starts walking toward Boy's area. Then it shows Boy on the floor. He wonders when he fell asleep. He says he has not had proper rest for a few days, since he had to stay alert against the monsters. But he is surprised because he has no idea where he is. He presses down on his foot, but cannot tell where the ground is. He wonders if something is trying to swallow him, but then says no. Sweat drips from his chin onto the floor. Then he says he might have already been eaten by something. It starts wrapping around his arms, then goes for his neck. He tries to get away, but it covers him, cutting off his escape, and he screams as he wakes up. He realizes it was a dream, and says it felt hella real. But then he sees Scar and his men in front of him, and asks who they are. Scar says he has 2 minutes, and if he does not get to the center of the station, he will throw him out. One of his henchmen says he better move now, or it might get too risky. Boy stands up, and Scar says he was curious to see who the ones hiding were, but it seems pointless. Boy asks if he plans to throw him out. Boy asks how, and one of the henchmen starts barking at him. But Scar stops him, saying this is the fun way. He tells Boy to look at him. He starts staring into Boy's eyes, saying he wants to see his real emotions. But Scar starts feeling something overwhelming from Boy, and is left speechless. His henchman, called Mole, asks what is going on, and says Boy is in trouble now, and that he should have left when they gave him 2 minutes. Boy says 2 minutes, no, 2 seconds is enough to take them down. Mole starts laughing, saying the boss was right and that he is funny. Mole pulls out a knife and asks if those are his last words. Scar puts his hand on Mole's shoulder, and Mole is surprised. Then Boy realizes something, because his photo is missing. Mole asks if he is looking for it. He says he was not expecting to find anything valuable, and only found this stupid photo. Boy starts to get angry and stomps forward, saying that if there is even one scratch on that photo, he will kill him. Mole starts breaking into a cold sweat, and Scar grabs the photo, saying that if Boy comes any closer, he will tear it. Mole starts hitting him, asking where his confidence went. Boy gets angry at himself for lowering his guard while he slept. He says he knew humans were more dangerous than monsters. Mole asks what they should do next and whether they should throw him out. Scar says no. Mole is confused and asks why not. Scar explains that when he looked into Boy's eyes just now, he was different from the others. The inside of his soul was so deep that he could not see anything at all. He tells Mole that they will watch him and that he should keep that old photo of his. Whenever they are watching him, he should always keep it in his hand. Mole asks if they really need to go that far for him, but Scar makes it clear that it is an order. Mole says he did get scared when Boy was about to attack them, but that does not matter now. As long as he has the photo, Boy will not be able to move. Then Haru walks into the room and looks surprised. She asks what is going on. Scar says she saved him the trouble of finding her. Haru starts to panic and asks why they are looking for her. He tells her to go to the center of the station. Mole and the others begin to leave, and he laughs, saying he will see Boy again and that he will take care of the photo. He leaves, and Haru sees Boy sitting there. She walks up to him and asks if he is okay. He knocks her hand away from his face. She grits her teeth and says she was trying to help him up. He tells her he does not need that, and tells the human to move. She says her name is not human. She already told him what her name was, and he should remember it. He walks past her, asking if he really needs to remember something like that. Baum notices the awkward mood between them and asks Haru if something happened. She angrily says no, and that she is the idiot for trying to talk to someone who did not want to in the first place. Boy sighs and asks why he would hold a human's hand. His father warned him never to trust anyone who reaches a hand out to him. Humans are his enemies after all. Then he sees Mole and says it will be easier to take it back by force. Even if Mole tears it, he can just put it back together. But he does not want to damage the photo. It is the only thing he brought out of the basement, so there is no need to risk it being torn. He will wait until Mole lets go of it. Scar says that since everyone is there now, he will tell them. They have two choices, either follow him or do not. If they choose to follow him, they will not need to worry about being thrown out. Like the man behind him, he points at the man from earlier. He says that man tried to cause chaos in the subway, so he has decided to expel him. If they choose to stand with him, he will not treat them like the rebel who tried to break the peace. He says he will not force them to follow him, but they should know that his word is absolute down there. Everyone looks afraid and starts watching what the others decide. Little by little, everyone starts taking Scar's side. Baum says that the strong rule the weak in a world where the law no longer matters. It is not strange that things turned out like this. Scar is not directly telling them to follow him, but he is making it clear what will happen to those who do not. And if someone wants to live longer, following Scar is the logical choice. Baum sweats nervously, then smiles and fixes his tie. He says he has already lived a long life, so being unpredictable once in a while is not so bad. If he joins that side, he may not be able to help when a patient truly needs him, so he plans to stay on this side, even if he is alone. But Haru does not join either, and she lets out a sigh. Baum is surprised and asks if she does not plan to go with them. She says no, and he tries to tell her to go and do it, saying this is foolish. She laughs and points out that she is not the only fool there. He asks what she means, then turns and sees that Boy and many others are not taking Scar's side either. Then it cuts to a girl with Baum, and she asks why nobody is including her, saying she did not want to stay there. But now they are being forced into the other group and might be tortured. Another girl, Freckles, says it will not be that bad. They will probably just kick them out or starve them instead of torturing them. Glasses gets scared and starts screaming that they are done for. A little girl bumps into Baum, and what seems to be her father says he is sorry, and should have held on to her better. Baum laughs and says she is at that age, but tells her to listen to her father. She starts speaking in nonsense, and he says he cannot hear her very well. Then she shouts that he is not her father and headbutts Baum. She says her real dad is looking for her with her mother. The man says she is right, that they just kept crossing paths, and he noticed she had gotten separated. So until they find her parents, he is acting as her guardian. Some men are talking, then turn and see Boy walking into the room. One of them tells him that the boss said he cannot enter, or he will be punished. He says being young will not make him an exception. Boy ignores him and wonders where the bastard who stole his photo is. Then it cuts to some people saying to only take the amount that was rationed and that they will be checked later, so nobody should mess around. Glasses asks why they are getting so little compared to the others. The guy tells him that those are the boss's rules, and since they are stuck in the room doing nothing, he asks why they would need a lot of food. The smell of food starts drifting through the air and goes straight into one guy's nose like in a cartoon. He opens his eyes and says he smells something good, asking if it is time. Then a guy asks someone where another person is. He is talking about the boss's right-hand man, who can be called Mohawk, since his nickname is Chicken Comb. He does not listen to anyone and always does his own thing. He is also a psychopath who kills people with a smile on his face. They ask if that is true and say they should never bother him then. The little girl from earlier bumps into him and spills her food everywhere. She looks up and sees Mohawk. He tells her it is dangerous to run around there, and now his clothes are dirty. He tells her to follow him, and they start saying that the next victim is the kid, but they wonder why he is walking in their direction. Mohawk calls out to them, and they ask what he wants. He says nothing much, and tells them to give this girl her rations. They say the rations are 1 per person. He says they can give her theirs then. He hands her the tray of food she dropped, and she stops crying. They wonder what he is doing and say this must be some kind of torture, and that he will bother her while she eats. Her guardian quickly tells her to get behind him and asks Mohawk what she did wrong. Mohawk gets angry and asks what the hell he did wrong. The guardian says they need to go and quickly runs off with her, but the little girl turns back to look at Mohawk, who looks confused, then smiles. It cuts to people guarding a door, and Freckles talks to Haru, saying there seems to be more surveillance. Boy wonders if he should just go find his photo, and he looks at Haru, who looks away because she is annoyed since he was rude to her and slapped her hand away. Freckles notices she is acting strange. It cuts again to everyone asleep, and Freckles sits up and looks around. She sees Boy sitting in the corner and walks over to him. She reaches out to touch him, then starts to feel pain. He is grabbing her arm, and she is surprised that he was awake. Boy asks what she was doing, saying he knew she would attack him in his sleep. She wonders why he is so strong but says it hurts and that she only wanted to talk. Boy asks what she means by talk. She says he sounds like he has never had a conversation before. Boy stares at her blankly, then asks why it matters whether he has ever had a conversation before. Freckles is confused. He lets go of her hand and tells her to get to the point. She stares at him, then says now that she thinks about it, why is he always away from the others, and asks if he is a shy person. He gets annoyed and says she is talking nonsense. He says he has no reason to stay close to the enemy. Freckles asks what he means. He tells her that every human is an enemy. He asks if there is any reason he should stay close to people who will stab him in the back. Freckles says she does not plan to hurt him. He says he does not believe her because she could be lying. She says that is fine, but asks him to make up with Haru. He asks what she means by makeup, saying he never fought with her. She asks if he can get along with her then. He says that is another matter. They are still human, and to him she is no different from those outside the room. Freckles says Haru thinks other people cannot hear her, but she cries every night while holding her breath. There is probably something painful that she cannot bring herself to say, but everyone there may be the same. But if he, who is the same age as her, gets along with her, then that would be better, right? Boy says that is shameless, and that being sad is only for weak humans. If they have time for that, it would be better to think about how to survive. She asks if he has never been sad after losing someone important to him. He remembers father saving him on the bridge and says no, and that there will not be a case like that in the future either, because he does not have anyone close to him. Freckles says that not being sad because he has no special person only makes it sound like he is very lonely right now, and will stay that way, but not to worry, because she would be sad for him if he dies. Boy is surprised by that, and says it makes him feel bad, because he will not die, and he will not care if she dies. She laughs and says that is cold, then starts coughing. Baum seems to be waking up. She says she may have talked too much, but will not bother him anymore. She tells him sweet dreams, but he says nothing, and only thinks that she is a weird human. It shows Glasses pretending to sleep, saying this shit is exhausting. Boy says it has been about 4 days since he first came there. He only wanted to find a place to rest, but now a human is holding his picture hostage. Because of that, he cannot do anything, not even find his mother. The sound of him getting beaten is heard, and he is shown taking their hits. Boy asks if it is fun. Mole laughs and asks why it would be fun, in a sarcastic way, saying he does not want to be doing this either and that it is punishment. Punishment for leaving the room whenever he wants. Boy asks if that is so, saying that in that case Mole should punish him himself and put away the picture. Mole begins to feel fear, realizing that Boy is not afraid of him. Instead of looking at the picture, it feels like Boy is looking down on him. Mole shouts at him, saying that if he can still talk, then he has not been beaten enough. Boy says his father told him that humans are naturally weak, and now he thinks he understands what he meant. Boy returns to his area. As he walks back, Freckles notices he is hurt, and asks if it was Mole and his group. Boy ignores her and says he now understands that not all humans are rude. Baum says that fortunately it does not look too serious, but they should disinfect it. Boy shakes his head and says he is fine with this, and that it is all right, then sits down. A tray with water and food is quickly given to him. Freckles says she brought his lunch because she did not know when he would come back. He starts to thank her, but suddenly stops, making her choke on her food. She asks what he was about to say. He says nothing, and she starts coughing. Boy says he just had a thought. He remembers her saying she would not hurt him. He says if that was not a lie, and if she would really be sad if he died, then maybe it would be fine to trust her a little. Her food falls to the floor, and she starts to collapse as well. He looks over and sees the can rolling, while Baum asks if she is okay and tells her to stay conscious. It becomes clear that something is wrong with her. Baum says her condition does not look good and that she needs medicine, but the problem is that they have to go to the surface, because they do not have the medicine there. Freckles says it is fine, and there is no reason for them to go to the surface just for her. Baum tells her to stop talking and says that if they do not get the medicine now, her condition will get worse. Boy, out of curiosity, asks how, asking how she will get worse without medicine. Baum starts thinking about how to explain it, but Mole walks in and says the boss is calling for Baum. Mole sees Boy and sighs, then pulls out the picture, saying he does not understand why he has to keep holding it in front of a kid when he could easily deal with him using a knife. Mole says he has orders for Baum to treat the injured people and to hurry up. Baum tries to say he cannot, but Mole takes it as disrespect and asks if he plans to keep disobeying the boss. Baum says that is not what he meant, and that he will treat the others after he treats this patient first, since she needs help immediately. Freckles quickly stands up and says she is fine, and that if they tell her where the medicine is, she can go to the surface and get it herself. Baum tries to make her understand, saying she will not survive on the surface in her condition. Mole says he understands now and wishes they had said it sooner. Then it shows him quickly stabbing Freckles in the stomach, saying he would have helped earlier if he had known. Freckles feels a sharp pain in her stomach, and everyone else is shocked. Even Boy is caught off guard. Mole pulls the knife out of her stomach, making her fall to the floor. Baum quickly runs over while the others only watch. Freckles starts bleeding out, and the blood begins to run toward Boy, who looks at her. His eyes stay fixed on her chest as he says he can feel it. He can feel that her life is slowly fading. As more and more blood pours out, Boy wonders why humans die so easily. He watches her life force slowly dim, second by second, getting smaller and smaller. Something starts to come apart inside him, and then she touches him with her finger. He snaps out of it, and then she asks why he looks so serious. He does not know what to say, and she says she thought he said he would not care. Then her life force fully stops. Boy is speechless as her lifeless arm drops to the floor. Everyone else understands too. Even though no one knows what to say, Mole speaks up, saying this was annoying, and that he cannot believe he got his hands dirty. Baum starts shaking with anger, and asks why Mole's expression never changed, even though he just killed someone. He says he understands now that monsters are not only on the surface. In his same annoying tone, Mole says Baum is being too harsh, and that this is no different from him saving him. If things had stayed that way, Baum would have followed her to the surface, and they could not lose their doctor just because he wanted to save one human. He also says everyone should be grateful, because dying like this is more peaceful than being eaten by monsters. Boy is still standing over her body, and Mole glances at him. Seeing that he is not moved, Mole starts laughing and asks if he is scared. He says Boy acted like he was so tough. Boy turns to him and gives him a sharp glare. As he looks at Mole's hands, he realizes he is holding a knife, and says it does not look like he has the picture. Mole realizes he is right and turns, saying he dropped it when he grabbed the knife earlier. Boy lowers his stance, and Mole turns back and asks what he is going to do about it, seeing him lower himself toward the ground. Mole starts laughing at Boy for just standing there, then closes his eyes for a blink. Boy uses that moment while Mole keeps asking if he is going to jump him. Before Mole's body can even react, he opens his eyes and sees Boy right in front of him saying, "Yeah." Boy punches him in the face, making it cave in. Before his men can react, Boy quickly dashes past them. He catches up to Mole while he is still flying through the air and hits him in the face again. Mole starts spinning while still flying, and the knife is sent into the air. Boy pushes off the ground again, flies up, and hits Mole with another punch. Mole's head slams into the wall and breaks it. Boy grabs him, and the knife that was in the air starts falling. Boy catches it, spins it, and tightens his grip on it. The others watch in complete fear, but Boy stops just as he puts the knife to Mole's throat, making him bleed. Boy looks at him and realizes that this guy is already mentally dead. Boy starts to tremble and says that he is just too weak. Back when he attacked Mole, he realized that Mole did not even react to his punch. He says that if he had known this guy was that weak, he would have taken the picture from him earlier. If he had done that, then none of this would have happened to Freckles in the first place, because Mole would not have been able to do anything. He starts to feel the urge to end his life, then begins to hear Father's voice telling him to kill him. Boy tries to resist the urge, but Father pushes him on, saying that he does not need to show mercy to his enemies and that he should finish it properly. The urge keeps getting stronger, and he hears his heart beating with every passing second. He tightens his grip on the knife and hears Baum shouting at him to stop. Boy slowly turns, and Baum explains that if he kills him, he cannot take it back. Boy asks what he means, saying he should not be worried about Mole. Baum tells him that is not what he means, and that he is talking about his heart. Boy is confused, and Baum tells him to think carefully, asking if he really has to go as far as killing him. Boy glances down at his reflection in the knife, and it shows him asking Father if there is even a reason to kill them. He says that if he beats them to the edge of death, they will stop trying to attack him. Father laughs, saying that with a weak mindset like that, he will not survive for even a week. And if that is not it, then maybe Boy is afraid of killing humans. Boy tells him not to get ahead of himself because he will never become like him. If the apocalypse comes the way he says, then he will survive in his own way. He will not become like his father, going around killing people just because he does not like them, because that is something only evil people do. Of course, the evil he means is Mole. Boy drops the knife. Then it shows that his hand is no longer shaking. Baum is happy. and says that he made the right choice. Boy tells him that it is not because of what he said. Rather, he feels like he would become the same if he kills him, and there is no real reason for him to do it. To him, it does not really matter whether Freckles lived or died. Even if she had lived, she would not have helped him find his mother, so it does not matter to him. One of Mole's henchmen jumps at Boy from behind with a bat, saying this is perfect since he does not have the knife anymore. As he swings down, Boy pulls his hand back, making the man hit Mole in the face with the bat. Boy lets go, twists his body, spins, and backfists the man. As the man starts to fall, Boy kicks him and sends him farther away. He lands in front of Bullcut McGee, who looks down at him. Bullcut reaches for something, and Boy asks what he is doing. Then it shows him holding up the picture of his mother, saying that this is a precious picture to him, right? Boy starts stepping forward, saying, so what? Bullcut realizes he is in serious trouble, so he pulls out a handkerchief and starts wiping the picture, even blowing on it to clean it, while his hands shake in fear. Boy takes the picture and goes back to Baum and the others. He looks at Freckles' covered body and does not know what to think. Baum tells him that he does not see the child or the girl from earlier. Then it shows the little girl's guardian saying they went to the bathroom together earlier, and that it is a relief they were not there to see any of this. Another man, who looks like Mario, says that if Boy could defeat them so easily, then why he did not do anything before. Boy says they were holding something of his hostage. Mario asks if he means that picture and asks how important it is to him. In a serious tone, Boy says it is important, and Mario starts to feel afraid. Boy looks down at the picture, then tells Baum there is something he wants to ask. He shows the picture to everyone and asks if they have seen anything like it, but no one recognizes the flower. Glasses asks where the picture was taken. Boy says he does not know. The Guardian says that if they had internet access, it would not be hard, but it will not be easy just by looking at the picture. Baum then asks why he wants to know the location. Boy asks why that is not obvious, saying he plans to go there. Everyone is speechless. Baum says that even after seeing how he fought, he should know the surface is full of monsters, and it will be hard to survive there. Boy says no, and that he can survive. Then it zooms in on the hooded figure. Boy looks down and says he did not expect to find someone who would recognize the place just by looking at it anyway. Scar enters the room and says, so this is what it has come to. He looks at Boy and says he told Mole to hold the picture properly, but he could not even follow such a simple order. He rolls up his sleeve and says it does not matter anymore, and since it has come to this, he will use a more direct method. It cuts to the surface, showing the buildings in ruins. In an alley, a shadowy figure approaches as a monster walks up and begins to move toward the subway. It cuts to another part of the subway, where some people are talking about having enough firewood to cook something. A lighter sparks, and a fire starts. Haru watches this and looks confused, and the little girl comes out of the bathroom. She says everyone there is weird, and that nobody flushes after using the toilet. Haru laughs and says it cannot be helped because the flushing system is broken. A man says it is too late, and that he has to send them back now. Haru glares at him, and he tells her not to do that because he is also trying to survive. One of the men cooking looks over and says it is like watching a real-life drama show. Something falls into the pot, and he asks his friend if he added something. The other guy tells him to stop talking and keep stirring. The man says that was strange and thinks it might have been nothing, but then more things start falling from the ceiling. The man looks up wondering why rocks are falling and sees the ceiling cracking. A monster's glowing eyes appear, and it jumps straight down at him. It cuts away before showing it and goes back to Scar, who looks around the room. He sees Mole on the floor and the other man lying there. He says his instinct was right. In the world he used to be in, there were always people seen as monsters, those who stood outside the norm. Now there are real monsters on the surface. Bullcut tells Scar to be careful and says the boy is stronger than he looks. Scar tells him to stop talking and knocks him out. He says he does not need to be told what to do, and that what he needs is the boy. He walks toward him and says his eyes are rebellious and he should be taught who is in control. Scar laughs and says maybe he will see it now. He starts looking into the boy's eyes, saying he wants to see the true shape of his soul. As he enters that state, he looks down and sees only darkness. Scar is shocked. His eyes widen and he says he was wrong. It was not him looking into the boy's soul. He looks afraid and says it was the opposite. It was the boy looking into his soul. Scar is left speechless as a huge mouth forms and swallows him. He screams and falls to the floor out of breath. His assistant asks what is wrong, and it shows him covered in cold sweat. The boy stares at him. Scar's body understands it on its own. This is pure fear. Scar says he was almost swallowed alive. Baum and the others are surprised. As Scar shakes, the woman wonders why he is acting like that in front of the boy. They hear screaming, and everyone turns as a man runs in covered in blood, saying he needs help because he cannot see. Scar stops shaking and looks over. The woman asks why he is bleeding. He says he does not know because he was just resting. Then he felt a sharp pain in his head and says he has had a terrible headache since earlier. The reason is shown, but the others cannot see it. They suggest it might have been a monster. The man starts scratching the back of his head, saying there is something inside that will not come out. He suddenly stops moving, then his body twists before standing straight again. Everyone is confused as his glasses break. 2 tentacles burst out through his eyes and stab another man in the shoulder. The man screams, but Scar steps forward, grabs the tentacle, and yanks it. As the man is pulled toward him, Scar punches him in the face and sends him flying, knocking him out of the room. The monster starts crawling out from the back of his skull, and Scar grabs an axe. The monster jumps at him, and he strikes it down, knocking it to the floor. He quickly runs over and starts chopping at it, taking out his frustration and fear from Boy. After cutting the monster into pieces, everyone else watches and says that since it stopped moving, he may have killed it. Scar is out of breath and wonders where it came from. Then he hears something. While the others are focused only on the fact that he just killed one of the monsters and saved them, only he and Boy realize what they are hearing outside. They can hear it coming, and then a monster blows the door open. Maybe it was because they had spent too much time in the subway, but everyone there seemed to have forgotten it. Or rather, they were forcing themselves to forget it. The terrible memories from the surface, along with the horror they would have to face. A bat falls to the floor. As everyone starts panicking, they all begin to run because it is a basic fear to escape what they do not understand. Scar grits his teeth and yells that they need to face the monster and fight it. They stop moving, and he asks how long they plan to keep running and let this happen again and again. He points at the monster and says there is only one, and that this is different from before, because they can win if they all fight together. They all look at it, and maybe it was because they had just seen him kill one so easily, or maybe it was his words that moved them. They start encouraging each other, saying they just saw him do it, so they can do it too. The woman picks up the bat and says they need to kill this monster themselves. Monsters are no longer the thing they fear, and for the first time since the monsters appeared, they truly feel hope. Scar starts grunting, and the woman looks at him and tells him to give an order. Then blood starts pouring from Scar's nose. Confused, they all call out to him and ask what is wrong. His head starts to tilt as his body is lifted into the air. The monster that had been lying on the floor, cut into pieces, starts pushing its tentacles out through his mouth. As it shows, it has already badly pierced him from behind. The others are confused and say that he definitely killed it. So why is the monster coming back to life? They start thinking that this means monsters cannot die, and that even if they all jumped one monster, they would never truly be able to win. More monsters burst through the walls and charge at the crowd, frozen in terror. One of the men gets his head knocked clean off, and as it spins through the air, the rest of the crowd still fails to process what is unfolding in front of them. Prime candidates for a Darwin Award. Another monster lunges at Bullcut and tears his arm straight off. Even then, nobody moves. They just stand there and watch as the monster that kicked the door down snatches the woman from before off the ground. It wraps its grip around her legs and squeezes. Her bones crack and splinter under the pressure. The monster pulls her inside itself, and the room goes quiet except for the deep, wet echo of her body being crushed from within. Then a blowhole on the creature's back erupts, spraying blood across every surface in the room. That does it. Everyone breaks and runs. Survival takes over completely, stripping away any sense of loyalty or decency. People shove and trample each other just to get a few steps ahead. Boy takes it all in. Mario loses it, screaming that they were wrong and that their time is coming. But the Guardian's mind drifts somewhere else entirely, to the little girl. He starts moving toward the door. Baum grabs his arm and demands to know where he thinks he's going. The Guardian tells him his child is still out there, and he has no choice but to go find her. Baum pushes back, warning him that if the monsters have already reached the entrance, the girl is most likely already gone. The Guardian drops to his knees. "It's just like last time," he mutters. His mind turns on itself, pulling him under a wave of panic he can't fight off. Boy steps forward. The Guardian snaps out of it just enough to ask where he's heading. Boy moves straight for the door without a word. Everyone watches, confused. Everyone except Baum, who bolts forward to cut him off. Too late. Boy is already through. He walks out into the open, calm and steady, passing right through the chaos of Scar's men as they fall apart and start turning on each other. Then Boy drops into his fighting stance, ready to go to work. The scene shifts to another section of the subway. A woman lies on the ground while a monster feeds on her. Nearby, Haru and the little girl from before are crammed under a desk, hidden. The girl starts to fall apart, tears streaming down her face, her breath coming in sharp, ragged pulls. Haru snaps at her to keep quiet. One sound and they're finished. The girl clamps down on it immediately. Haru follows up with a hard truth. She has no room to worry about anyone else right now, because getting caught means dying. The little girl reaches out and latches onto Haru's arm, shaking uncontrollably, still crying without a sound. Haru looks at her. Something shifts. Against every instinct telling her otherwise, she tells the girl to stay close. A man nearby stares at the corpse on the ground and turns to them, asking what exactly they think they're going to do. Haru says they run. He cuts her off before she finishes. Run where? He asks. There's nowhere left to go. Haru says they have to try in order to live. The man reminds her that there are monsters all over the surface, and now they've even taken over the one safe place they had, yet she still thinks she can survive. Haru says even so, she won't sit around waiting for her death like an idiot. The man is surprised. He caught a stray. She says she will survive no matter what, and her eyes are full of hope as she says it. The man can tell she has serious main character energy, saying she has a reason to survive. She is surprised by that. He notices she needs a haircut, then looks over and sees a monster right in front of them. He screams to run and looks over to see Haru, paralyzed with fear. He grits his teeth and charges at the monster, saying there is no reason for him to live. He turns to tell Haru to run, but when he glances over, she is long gone. He says that was too fast, and she should have let him give a hero monologue first. Then she hears the man screaming behind her, but closes her eyes and carries forward. Back to Scar's men, one of them tries to ask the monster a question. Credit where it's due for fighting it, but it does nothing. The woman also starts stabbing it relentlessly, but runs out of steam and watches as every wound closes up. The monster grabs the man who axed it, and the woman falls to the floor and crawls backward, saying they cannot win. Boy steps forward with bombs still going off at the doorway. Someone tries to get him to come back. The girl wonders where he is going, and as everybody else starts getting impaled by the blue tentacle monster, it turns Scar's corpse to face Boy. That is when Boy drops into his fighting stance. The woman realizes he is about to fight, and that he is just going to die like Scar. The monster shoots out tentacles once more, and as they get close, Boy does not panic, and does as he has been trained. He dodges below the attack and grabs onto the tentacles. More come flying in. He dodges them and uses the original two he grabbed to tangle up the rest. It goes for a surprise attack to his back, but Boy reads it and bounces off the wall to avoid it, causing it to stab into the wall instead. He lands still holding the tentacles and ties them off after tangling the monster up. It shoots out another attack toward the back of his head. It stops just short, completely tied up, exactly as Boy had planned. He walks to the back of Scar and rips the monster out, then glares at it. Baum is surprised he stopped it, and the woman says it changes nothing since Scar stopped it as well. The monster lets out a screech, and the bigger one slowly turns toward Boy. A smaller one is also there now. One of them charges straight at him, and Boy throws the tentacle monster to the floor. As it goes to bite him, Boy knees its mouth shut. While it reels from the hit, Boy takes off toward the giant one. It stretches its arms out wide, but Boy leaps off the floor to avoid the bear hug and lands behind it. He goes for the axe and grabs it, and the monster starts blowing blood from its blowhole to throw him off. Boy gets sprayed and briefly closes his eyes. He snaps them open just in time to see the monster's elbow coming. Everyone watching thinks it's over. Then they see that Boy avoided it, and the surprise hits them all at once. They watch and talk among themselves, acknowledging that even though he is still alive, the monster carries overwhelming strength inside a body that never stops healing. Fighting it is suicide. And yet none of them can look away as Boy stands back up and faces it alone. Boy grips his shoulder and his father's voice comes back to him. There is no being in this world that does not die. The monsters charge again. The voice continues as Boy holds his ground. Every living thing has a source from which its life began. The monsters close in and fear ripples through everyone watching. His father tells him to go for that. The image of a petal being pulled from a flower cuts through. His father's voice says that if it is Boy, he already knows what he is looking at. The monsters attack, and Boy launches into the air, slipping past both of them at once. His father tells him Boy will be able to find exactly where their lives begin. Boy plants himself on the back of the monster. Just as a flower is rooted to the ground and grows from a single seed, pull the roots and the flower dies. Boy spots the weak points on the monster's back. raises the axe, and drives it straight into the core, the seed. The giant monster instantly comes apart into a stringy, unraveling mass and slowly pulls itself together into a smaller shape at the tip of the axe. Boy is worn out and looks down at it. It has hardened into something resembling a strange stone.